Okay, we'll call the public hearing variation order number 980-18 to order at 7 p.m. Have regrets from Councillor Kathy Valentino. Call to order the supporting or the agenda before us. Mr. McGuinness, any changes to the agenda?
There's no changes.
Thank you. Motion to adopt the agenda that's presented. Councillor Byer, Deputy Mayor Smook, all in favor? Carried. So with us we have supporting material variation order number 980-18 for Lot 3, Plan 3260 PLTO, McDonald's Restaurants of Canada Limited. We have a poster, memo from the building inspector. We have 2 maps and a notification list. And I would go to Mr. McGuinness if there's anything to add or to go over.
The variation's been reviewed at the DRC meeting. All the postings have been done as required under the Planning Act, and the affected parties have been notified. The signs are at the site and at the City Hall, and we've received no objections or comments or concerns to this date.
Thank you. The next process is to receive representation for or against the public variation order. So I'll call the question, is there anybody in for or against the variation that's before us? First time? Second time? Third and final. Seeing no support or objections to the variation, I would call for an adjournment. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Byer and Councillor Ellis. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. We stand adjourned for the public hearing. Next up is the public hearing for the close of a public reserve. Call this to order at 7:03. We have an agenda before us. Are there any changes to the agenda? Mr. McGuinness?
Yes, there's an addition to the agenda. It's supporting material. It's a memo from the community planner with municipal relations.
Thank you. So we'll add that under item 2, supporting documentation, as the third paperclip, and it's from municipal relations. Motion to adopt the amendment to the agenda. Councillor Byer, Deputy Mayor Smook, all in favor? That's carried. Motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Councillor Byer, Councillor Ellis, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So we have the supporting documentation as outlined. We have the public notice. We have the memo from the Director of Development Services, and we have the additional letter from Municipal Relations. I'll go to Mr. McGuinness to review.
Again, this was posted at all entrances to the public reserve, and it's been following all the requirements of the Planning Act, and we've received no objections or comments at this time.
Okay. I'm just looking for clarification. This is the supporting documentation. We don't have a call for objections or submissions. So we're good. Are there any objectors in the office or in the council chambers or supporters of the closing of the public reserve? First time. Second time. Third and final. Hearing none, I'll go for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Byer and Deputy Mayor Smook. All those in favor? Carried. We stand adjourned for the public hearing. There are resolutions in the next regular meeting, of which I'll call to order at this time at 7:05. Again, regrets from Councillor Kathy Valentino. Just prior to beginning the meeting, I would like to acknowledge the passing of Bev Desjarlais, former Thompson resident and former MP, on March 15th for then the Churchill riding. Bev was a MP from 1997 to 2006, a period of 9 years. She contributed greatly to the North and was quite adamant in her positions throughout her career as an MP, as noted by fellow colleagues at Parliament during the announcement of her passing. So I would also like to, on behalf of the City of Thompson, pass on our condolences to the family and recognize the passing of Bev Desjarlais. With that, we'll go into the regular meeting of Council called to order. We have an agenda before us. Are there any changes to the agenda, Mr. McGuinness? Yes.
Recommendation to remove items 7.2 and 7.3 so that Council can review the documentation. And in addition to 8.3, which is a memo from the community planner with municipal relations.
Okay, so we're removing 7.2 and 7.3. for further review by council, and we are adding the letter from Manitoba, or from Municipal Relations under 8.3, under the fourth paperclip for information. We need a motion to amend the agenda before us. Councillor Byer, Deputy Mayor Smook, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. We now need a motion to adopt the agenda as amended. Again, Councillor Byer, Councillor Ellis, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. We are now moving into presentations and delegations. I'm happy to call forward Bruce Holmes, Regional Forester, Community Wildlife Protection Plan, Shauna Courts, Fire Protection Officer, Manitoba Sustainable Development, and Mike Bourgon, Deputy Chief, EMS, Thompson Fire and Emergency Services. Please come forward to the delegation table. And the presentation will be on the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. Thank you, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. So tonight we have a presentation on wildfires in the Wildland Urban Interface and FireSmart. The Wildland Urban Interface, what it is, it's the area between the community and the forested area, structures and locations where conditions result in the potential for the ignition from flames and firebrands of a wildfire. So where the Wildland Urban Interface is you can see between where the houses are and where the forest area is.
Yeah, so in a wild land urban interface fire, obviously we learned some lessons from Fort McMurray, Slave Lake, things like that. A lot of recommendations that came forward were to recommend implementing FireSmart program. So the province has spent a lot of time working on FireSmart, and it's something that we're working together with this plan. So basically, if you look here on the pictures, you can see that you've got a forest fire in the background up on the left, and then the home that we're talking about on the interface, that would be your urban interface. As you can see here, that home is not FireSmart, which in turn catches on fire.
So with the wildland or the wildfire disaster cycle, you start with severe weather conditions. So it's weather, fuel, topography, it's dry. Wildland fire starts, you get a rapid spread. That then goes into the urban fire, which is where you get multiple simultaneous ignitions of houses and other structures. Then we become overwhelmed, fire departments become overwhelmed, reduced fire protection, and then that results in your disaster such as Fort McMurray.
So what we're trying to do, obviously, is we're trying to change this cycle. So we can't control the fire conditions. The wildland fire, we can't necessarily control. What we want to do is we want to stop the urban fire. So stopping that transition builds fuels significantly reduces the likelihood of a disaster. So that's again where FireSmart comes in. So obviously, if we've got heavy fire load near our homes, heavy fire load where the city meets the forest, we're going to have more likelihood to have a disaster. So that's what we're trying to stop in this plan.
How come why is this not going forward? So again, what Mike said is, yeah, we just want to stop the urban area fire. So how do we stop it? Again, that is where the FireSmart comes in. So during severe wildland urban interface fires, hundreds of structures an hour may be ignited. This is Kelowna 2003. Oops, sorry. Lessons learned, total destruction is the rule. It's rare for partial home losses to occur, and we saw that from all the pictures from Fort McMurray.
Yeah, so home ignitions are not always due to the adjacent high intensity of wildland fire. For example, the fire did not necessarily spread through the vegetation to ignite the home. So firebrands would be an example of that, embers. So basically, depending what you have around your home, so another thing, say you've got a lot of cedar trees, conifers, things like that, It's possible that the fire is quite some distance away, but those firebrands will actually come into your home, they potentially get into your eaves troughs, get into your cedars. Potentially you've got some heavy fuel load, firewood maybe piled around your house in your backyard, so on and so forth. So again, just kind of showing that the fire doesn't necessarily have to be right next to your home in order for it to be at risk.
And some of the other lessons learned were more than 50% of the homes destroyed by wildfires are ignited by the embers. So it's not the actual flame, it's the embers coming in well before the fire even gets there.
So 85 to 90% of homes without flammable roof and 10 meters of clearance will survive a major wildfire. So again, when we move forward with Fire Smart in the future, it's proven 90% successful that a community and a home that's Fire Smart will survive 90% of the time with wildfire threats. So it really just kind of shows the importance of ensuring that we move in that direction.
So time to refocus our efforts, reducing losses before the fire starts. We want to reduce the fire intensity as influenced by the surrounding vegetations. So we're encouraging, reduction of fuel loads. All the forested areas should be cleared, and it'll reduce the amount of fire.
So in Fire Smart, just if you look at the bottom bullets there, there's structural guidelines, vegetation guidelines, and infrastructural guidelines. So it works by prioritizing your different zones. Obviously the manual is quite thick, but again, moving in that direction, there's different guidelines that we'll follow in order to ensure that we're a Fire Smart community.
And this just shows the zones. So the zone 1 is right around your house. Zone 2 is 30 meters out. So that's that vegetation behind your house, behind your neighbor's house. And then we've got the 100-meter zone, which just goes back a little further. So those are the different zones that we look at with the Fire Smart.
So with those zones, obviously there's the 3 zones. So you've got your zone, just to kind of build on that a little bit. So that's you, that's your own property. Then you've got your neighbors. In this situation, your neighbors are next door, but there's also the city of Thompson, which is your neighbor behind yourself if you're on the tree line. So that's where we come into play, is how are we going to manage that vegetation for the tree line residents.
So with Fire Smart, there's 7 different disciplines that we look at. There's obviously education, legislation, the new development, vegetation management, emergency planning, and our interagency cooperation, which is sustainable development and, City of Thompson Emergency Services. And with that, cross-training.
So again, cross-training, we're working with partnership with Sustainable Development, and we have in the past, but this summer, just to kind of build on some of our training needs for both them and us.
And again, this just shows some of the fires from the past. Structural protection is something that we look at, and putting up sprinklers well in advance will save structures. You've got your defendable space, which is another part of the Fire Smart. Obviously, there's no grass, can't burn. These are pictures from Wallace Lake, 1987, 75 seasonal cabins destroyed. Again, this one would have had a sprinkler put on it, and makes a huge difference, just a little bit of water over a 24-hour period. And other things that we look at with the Fire Smart is, values at risk. This is the government center in Slave Lake. So that was their EOC that went up. And again, just more Slave Lake pictures. So what we're doing is we're working with Sustainable Development is working with the City of Thompson Emergency Services, and we're putting together a community wildfire protection plan. So with the protection plan, it includes a pre-response plan, so what we all need to do in case there is a wildfire that's going to threaten the city, and a sprinkler deployment plan so that we can be ahead of the game and have sprinklers deployed and on our critical infrastructure, such as this is the EOC, critical values. So we're working together to put together a plan. It also includes a mitigation plan, which will include, you know, removal of fuel wood through timber permits and other, you know, we've got our firefighters that we've used in the past to come in and help clear out areas. And we're hoping we have a plan by the end of April, a draft working plan. So that's where we're at. Any questions?
Thank you. Council, any questions? Council Blair?
What is a flammable roof, like, is it tin or is it?
Flammable roof would be cedar shakes, cedar shingles. So CSA approved asphalt shingles would not burn, they'd be not flammable. Metal roofs are not flammable. So any cedar shakes or shingles would be considered flammable roof.
And then another two quick questions. One is, when we talk about homes on the tree line, are we talking about having to cut back the trees to some degree to keep them safe from the houses, or?
So it's vegetation management again. So there's your 3 priority zones. So be your initial zone is the first 10 meters. That's your own property. That should really be not free of trees, but obviously you want to manage it in a sense that you don't want to have ladder fuels and so on and so forth. Then the second zone, definitely not fully cleared out, but again, you want to make sure, and Bruce can probably really talk to this as forest management, but you just want to manage the vegetation that's out there so it's not overgrown. And then priority 3 is very minimal, but obviously still you want to make sure it's so there's guidelines in the Fire Smart. Thing is, forests, what they do is they renew themselves, and they renew themselves through fire. So what we're trying to do is stop that. If we can manage that on our own without the forest having to do it for us, that's kind of the goal that we're trying to achieve. So it is very minimal stuff. It's not a lot of work by any means. It's just very simple, basically almost housekeeping, right?
And it's not full removal of all trees. It's yeah.
If I could, Penny, Fort McMurray this past fall and winter is now spacing out their forest area. It's after the fact. And that has been a program that is, significant interest to the public. There's still concerns about it because people don't like to see tree removed. But for the most part, the residents of Fort McMurray are, we're with it. We've seen what happens if we don't. So in the program that we're going to be rolling out, there will be some discussion, though that'll be forthcoming. But I want to say that I work across the province, and I'm just a helper here. Sean and Mike are ahead of the game. They're ahead of the game in the province of Manitoba here. And this will be of value to the city of Thompson because we're preparing before the event. Fort McMurray's preparing now after the event. And so anyways.
Thanks, Bruce.
Sprinkler systems, how elaborate does this have to be? Are they things, do inside sprinkler systems work? Are sprinkler systems something that, say, people who live on tree lines might want to look at besides doing a major building like this? And are we talking about external sprinkling, or?
External sprinklers is what we put up, like when we do value protection, and it's just your regular sprinkler head, that one on each end of the house, some garden hose, and no, it's really not a huge, elaborate, expensive system.
Yeah, and the OFC would partner with us as well, so they'd be deployed to Thompson in the event of a major fire, and they'd have a lot of that equipment. So right now with the sprinkler deployment plan, that's exactly what we're looking at as the inventory that we need, depending on which part of the city was breached.
Just a couple comments. Oh, sorry, Councillor Foley.
Elaborate on what we've done so far in regards to the deadwood collecting permit?
Absolutely, yeah. So with Rec and Community, what they've done is they've waived the permit fee for dead wood. So you can go and you can actually go into the city area and you can salvage dead wood. So basically there was a permit fee of, I believe, $50, correct me if I'm wrong, right now. So you still need your permit, but what we've done is waive the fee. So At any time, you can go down to TRCC, apply for the permit, and this allows the city as well to do an assessment to find out where the higher risks in the community are, and we can have the person who obtains that permit go to certain areas to clear some of that deadfall, which obviously will lower our risk of wildfire.
Other questions from council? Just a couple comments. One, thank you very much for the presentation. It's very appropriate for the area that we live in. Again, those of us that were around in '89, after the fire, there was the after planning, and there was a discussion at that time about a ring around the community, and it was basically not looked upon favorably because there was a lot that said it would never happen, that you'd lose a whole city. And then we've had Slave Lake, and then we had Fort Mac. So there's a lot of credibility to this plan and planning, and as Bruce said, the City of Thompson and partners are planning ahead of a disaster as opposed to, and no fault to Fort Mac, they did the best they could, but they certainly realized and lived the experience and now are reacting to that. So hopefully it never gets to that case in Thompson, but we are certainly through the department and through partnerships working towards protecting what we can as best we can. So thank you very much again for the information, and I believe we could probably put information on our website in regards to how individuals, homeowners, could protect themselves and assist the city and the province as we go through this process. So thanks again for the presentation. Okay, next up we're going to go to general inquiries, and I would ask if there's any general inquiries. If there are, please come forward, state your name and ask your question. So any general inquiries? First time? Second time? Third and final? Seeing none, we'll go on to the adoption of minutes. We have a resolution to adopt a public hearing for the decrease of council March 12th, 2018. Resolution 2018078, moved by Councillor Ellis, seconded by Councillor Byer. Be resolved that the minutes of the public hearing for the decrease of council held in Council Chambers, City Hall, Thompson, Manitoba on Monday, March 12th, 2018 be adopted as circulated. Call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have a regular meeting of council March 12th, 2018. Resolution 2018079, moved by Councillor Collada, seconded by Councillor Byer. Be resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held in Council Chambers, City Hall, Thompson, Manitoba on Monday, March 12th, 2018 be adopted as circulated. We'll call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We're now going into committee reports, and the first one up is the Public Works and Infrastructure Committee report. I'll go to the chair, Councillor Smook, to present the report.
Yes, the period of this report is December 2017 to February 2018. The committee members are Deputy Mayor Colleen Smook, Chair, Councillor Penny Byer, Mayor Dennis Fensky, Gary Sepatelli, Wayne Kaversky, Harkamich Jeet Singh Gill, Neil McLean, Don Wood, J.R. Beavis, Dan DeCorby, Devin Little, Anthony McGuinness, and Robert Balaka. The resource person is Lindsay Anderson. The meetings for the Public Works and Infrastructure Committee are held the first Thursday of each month at the TRCC. Operational highlights, daily safe operations discussion, 12 burials for 2017, 3 for this period. Mechanical department addressed 111 different unit repairs during this period, 451 in this period for 451 total for 2017. Snow operations were in full swing with 2 shifts operating Monday to Friday. Contractors are actively using the snow dump. Currently hauling snow from all major intersections, crosswalks, and school zone, and that's happening also still as we speak. Our water utility operational highlights. The storm mains, we had 15 at the end of 2017. We had 1 so far for the accounting period. Water mains, we had 49 for the year in 2017. We've had 12 for the 3 months. Service breaks, 34 for 2017, 11 for this period. Hydrant repairs, 8 for 2017, 2 for this period. Custom service repairs, 4 in 2017, none to date. Sanitary mains, 1 in 2017, 0 at this point. Sanitary services, 6 in 2017, 1 to date. The wastewater treatment plant, concrete work and formwork for the foundation walls around SBR 1 and SBR 2, pump roof, pipe gallery is in progress. Cold weather curing protection was in place for minimum 7 days. Concrete has been poured on 29 of 35 wall sections. Precast slab fabrication has started off-site. 30% of the work is completed in terms of construction cost. Water main 2018. Design for water main 2018 was completed and the project was tendered out, and the tender is closing March 23rd, 2018. The Burntwood Trailer Court drainage Phase 2. Phase 2 works were tendered out with the tender closing date of March 23rd, 2018. Road renewal work. Design for the multi-use path and Station Road is done and project tendered out on March 14th, and closing date is April 6th. Air conditioning unit repairs. There has been ongoing discussions with Performa Engineering to select suitable system for City Hall. A couple of options have been provided by Performa engineers to retrofit the existing system to reduce the water usage. That the city has got the detail and costing of the systems and will select the suitable one. Leachate study and monitoring work. This is out at the waste disposal grounds. RFP will be going out shortly for leachate study and designing of the monitoring wells. Maintenance work. Assets and infrastructure have been dealing with maintenance issues and the city-owned buildings, i.e. the City Hall, RCMP, and the library. The RCMP alarm panels in the cells was changed and smoke detectors was installed in the ducts after duct cleaning. Janitorial issues at RCMP were discussed with cleaning contractors for RCMP building. Basement renovations were completed by insurance company in the library basement, which was affected by a sewer backup. The library boiler controls were repaired and replaced. City Hall server room was built. Funding, small communities transport funding, SCTF, for minor transit projects, and Green Municipal Fund, GMF, was applied for repairs for the AC units. And I would like to, on behalf of the Public Works, welcome Neil McLean to the new position, and his co-partner Curtis Green. Welcome.
Thank you. Next up, we have the communications report chaired by Councillor Penny Byer, and she'll just deliver the report. Oh, sorry, Blake Ellis.
Okay, so we have the communication report for the first quarter, January to March 2018. The committee members are myself, Councillor Blake Ellis as chair, Mayor Dennis Svensky, Councillor Dennis Foley, City Manager Gary Zapatelli, Communications Officer Kasper Anatowski, Executive Assistant to Mayor and Council Angela English, as well as organizational representatives, Twyla Story from the Northern Regional Health Authority, Tara Ritchie from Valley Manitoba Operations, and Charlene Kissick from the Northern Tourism Strategy. So our progress so far, we procured and launched the new City of Thompson website with AllNet municipal solutions, and the majority of technical issues have been cleared up since its launch. Work now continues with city departments and public feedback to review the structure of information on the website in order to make it more useful and accessible to new and established residents. Development services and Norplex pool information is currently under review, and a new format for promoting community events and services being explored to improve on the previous community contact list. An annual contract has been negotiated with CHTM in 2017 to streamline radio services and optimize costs for the purchase of airtime throughout the year, securing slots for public service announcements, City Beat, and a limited number of produced spots for general advertising. The contract is reviewed every year in order to ensure the City of Thompson's needs are being met in a cost-effective manner. New recreation signage has been produced and is ready for installation come construction season. An updated front plate has been designed for Thompson's north and south entrance to be installed in the existing structure, and a request for proposals is in development. The City of Thompson has been establishing a display at the CHTM Trade Show and Health and Leisure Mart, and will continue to improve its presence at local trade shows as well as explore regional and provincial opportunities. The committee has been updating staple promotional material with the City of Thompson's new branding on an ongoing basis. 2018 will see a review of informational pamphlets and materials currently distributed and identified new needs for print and web literature. An RFP is also currently being developed for the development of community branded merchandise. A thorough review of priorities of the community communications plan was conducted in February of 2018, and timelines for the plan's goals are being updated since the plan was last approached in early 2016. Early priorities will be complete a SWOT analysis among departments to determine communication strengths and gaps in capabilities, as well as draft a comprehensive media strategy to provide continue across departments and generations of employees. With the approach of potential cannabis legislation, a cannabis bylaw survey was developed and distributed in early 2018. Within 24 hours, the survey's social media distribution had reached over 10,000 people and received 300 responses over 24 hours, with responses accumulating throughout the month. That is my report.
Casper, anything to add? Thank you. Council, any questions of the report? Or received for information then? Thank you. We're now going into resolutions. First resolution, 7.1, resolution to approve variation order number 980-18 for Lot 3, Plan 32600, PLTO McDonald's Restaurants of Canada Limited. Resolution 2018-080, moved by Councillor Byer, second by Councillor Ellis. Be resolved, the Council approve variation order number 980-18 for the Lot 3, Plan 32600, PLTO 217 Mystery Lake Road to reduce the required parking spaces from 58 to 30 in a commercial zone 1 zone, which is bracket C-DT1 bracket. We'll go to administration for support. Anything to add, Mr. McGinnis? Council, any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We'll now go to 7.4, a resolution to approve the land lease agreement between the City of Thompson and JB Johnson Ventures Limited for part of Lot 1, Block 33A, Plan 740, PLTO N Division, and part of Public Park Plan 761, PLTO N Division. Resolution 2018-081, moved by Councillor Smook, seconded by Deputy Mayor Smook, seconded by Councillor Byer. Whereas in 2016, a new water main was installed. Nope, sorry, wrong. No, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, resolution 2018-083, moved by Councillor Byer, seconded by Councillor Ellis. Be it resolved, the Council approve the land lease agreement between the City of Thompson and JB Johnson Ventures Limited for the following property. In the City of Thompson, being part of Lot 1, Block 33A, Plan 740, PLTO N Division, and part of Public Park Plan 761, PLTO N Division. We'll go to administration for support. Anything to add?
This has been reviewed at DRC several times and recommended to be brought to council for approval.
Thank you. Council, any questions or comments? Councillor Wong.
Thank you. Couple of things I'd like to find out or clarification. I did mention about the 50-50 cost sharing. Is there anything changed?
Sorry? The 50-50 cost sharing?
Yeah.
Yes, there's a modification in the lease, an improvement so that the person who is leasing the land repairs any of their improvements only, and the city repairs anything of the infrastructure underneath the ground or the land to bring it back to the state it was.
Some changes.
Yeah, there's changes to the agreement, but this is what we discussed in our meetings. Yeah.
That's good. The other thing is like the square footage. I like to. I mean, the price is kind of low to me, especially in downtown. It's not fair to the person that want to lease land from the bush, and the land in downtown is the same rate. So I would like to strongly suggest, because the budget is not approved yet for this year, I'd like to visit to the fees and fine to restructure the fee, because it's definitely is not a fair deal for people to lease the downtown for 38 cents a square feet compared to a person lease the land from out of the town, or like the bush area, which is like the train station area or far end from the town. There's definitely have to be a different rate. So I understand this is all in the fees and fines, so I cannot change that right now, but I like to recommend in the future we should look into that kind of thing changes.
So the recommendation would be to look in at the 2019 budget, correct? Oh.
Now I'm just saying in the future.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution to approve 2016 as a tax sale year, and we have a memo from the CFO. Resolution 2018-084, moved by Councillor Ellis, seconded by Councillor Collada. Whereas Section 365, Bracket 2 of the Municipal Act provides the council may in any year designate the immediately preceding year or an earlier year as the year for which properties, the taxes in respect of which are in arrears for that year, must be offered for sale by auction to recover the tax arrears and costs. Be it resolved that the designated year for which properties in arrears be offered for sale by auction be 2016, meaning all properties with outstanding taxes from the year 2015 or prior. Go to administration for support. Anything to add? Thank you. Go to the mover, Councillor Ellis. Council, any questions? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have a resolution to approve the February check registers, and we have the February check registers attached. This is Resolution 2018-085, moved by Deputy Mayor Smook, seconded by Councillor Byer. Check register dated February 2018, general accounts payable checks totaling $5,112,959.03. Payroll dated February 2nd, 2018, $265,258.17. Payroll dated February 16th, 2018, $273,419.63 for a subtotal of $538,677 and 80 cents for a grand total of $5,651,636.83. The accounts contained in this check register have been reviewed by the members of the Finance and Administration Committee. With that, we'll go to administration for support. Anything to add? Deputy Mayor Smook, anything to add?
We discussed this at the finance meeting and asked any questions that we had of them, as these checks have already been wrote, and I believe a memo was sent to council for their input if they had any questions on it.
Thank you. Council, any questions or comments? Councillor Manager.
I have several questions, beginning with, I notice our CFO is not present, so I would ask, is there anyone here competent to ask my questions to?
Seeing that our current CFO, Jenny Krentz, is on travel back from Winnipeg, I would suggest that we receive your list of checks, the numbers, and that duly noted, and then when she's back in the office tomorrow, I believe, she can chase them down. So if you could give Angie the numbers of checks that you want checked.
Could I have my previous questions answered from the last couple of check registers that I have not been answered yet?
Provide the list, or do you want to give the list?
What I'd like is for it to be answered publicly. I'm asking a public question at a public meeting about a public registry. I'd like to keep this public.
The CAO is currently on vacation, and our Chief Financial Officer is traveling back from Winnipeg, so the people of expertise aren't here to answer that, so we can either bring it up at the next general regular meeting, but in the meantime, in preparation for that, if you could supply that list to Angie, then Jenny can be prepared at the next meeting. Thank you very much. Any other, Councillor Wong.
I thought we all have the agreement about stopping the food. So I seen there's a few check wrote to the food restaurant. So can someone explain to me why we still buying food since we already stopped having a food when we come to a meeting or anything like that? So what is that all about?
Clarification on the check registers, and I don't have them in front of me, but the food that you refer to in regards to committee meetings have been stopped since January 1st. So any food or restaurant bills that would be in the check registers would be overtime meals for staff or for hourly employees. There are no checks in the register for committee meetings.
And provide the list that I like to find out to Jenny later on.
With that, any other questions or comments? Call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have the resolution to approve attendance at the 2018 Municipal Officials Seminar, and we have a memo from the Executive Assistant. Resolution 2018-086, moved by Deputy Mayor Smook, seconded by Councillor Foley. Be resolved, the Council approve Councillor Byer's attendance at the 2018 Municipal Officials Seminar in Brandon on April 11th and 12th, 2018, and be further resolved that attendance at this event be borne under the terms and conditions of Bylaw 1897 2013. Administration, anything to add? Yes, Angie?
Councillor Byer will also be there attending the AMM Mayors, Reeves, and CAO's meeting on the 10th of April, so she's already down there. It's just an extension.
Thank you. We'll go to the mover, Deputy Mayor Smoke, anything to add?
Nothing that most of Councillor Byer's expenses are picked up by AMM as a northern representative.
Council, any questions? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Now go to 7.8, a resolution to approve the attendance for ministers' meetings and a memo from the executive assistant. Resolution 2018087, moved by Councillor Ellis, seconded by Councillor Byer. Be resolved, the council approve the attendance of Mayor Fensky to attend various ministers' meetings in Winnipeg, Manitoba on March 29th to April 3rd, 2018, and be it further resolved, the attendance of this event be borne under the terms and conditions of bylaw 1897-2013. We'll go to administration for support. Anything to add? Thank you. We'll go to the mover, Councillor Ellis.
To lobby on our behalf, so I'm in favor.
Council, any questions? Councillor Matichuk.
I'd like to know who these ministers are and what is it concerning?
As I've previously advised council, the meetings that are occurring, the first one is with Deputy Minister Dave Dyson, who is Minister Peterson's Assistant Deputy Minister. This is in regards to the Mining Reserve Fund and accessing that fund in regards to the Valley announcement and the Valley grant in lieu, which saw a 20% reduction in the first year and a 50% reduction in years 2, 3, and 4. So this is continued lobbying as council has been made aware of in regards to accessing the community mining reserve fund to supplement the loss of revenue from Valley. The other meeting is involved with Deputy Minister Jan Forrester from Municipal Affairs. This is in regards to the UCN taxation issue. Council is well aware that the agreement signed with the province and UCN and the I forget the individual department in regards to the taxation over 25 years in regards to the land value that we provided to the construction of the UCN campus was not delivered upon by the province of Manitoba, and so we're in dispute in regards to the annual taxation bill that goes from the city of Thompson to UCN and to the province. So that's continued discussion on that as well.
These questions were previously brought to their attention, so is there something new to add to this, or what exactly is it that would justify a meeting with them?
Well, I think the point is that we are lobbying on behalf of the City of Thompson, as I've made council aware in numerous meetings, that the discussions are continuing, that the province provided a position on the UCN taxation issue at the last meeting, which I made aware to council of their decision. We responded with a letter to Minister Wharton, not in agreement with their decision, which council was made aware of. This is a continuation of that discussion to see where the opportunity to move. Council is well aware is that we have the opportunity or the option to rescind the bylaw in regards to that taxation agreement. That's been placed in Minister Wharton's hands, and it's now the province's turn to react to our position. So that's the meeting. In regards to Assistant Deputy Minister Dave Dyson, this is a continuation of the Mining Reserve Fund and accessing that fund. The province is open to the discussion, as we've suggested. The parameters have not been set in regards to the province's position now that the budget has been presented and accepted for the province of Manitoba. Discussions will continue on for the City of Thompson to access that fund. Okay. Any other questions? Councillor Wong.
Because the word is, you put various ministers, so it's just kind of like, I like to be more specific, but you just explain all this. But I like to see the, I also noticed March 29th to April 3rd, there's a long weekend, so I'm just wondering what date exactly that you are meeting the minister. because I learned from the Prime Minister India trip. So end up the whole entire 8 days, only 4 hours meeting the minister. End up we have $500 million trade deficit. That's my first question. Second question is about the vehicle. So you're claiming $447.21. Our bylaw is say you get reimbursed if you drive your own vehicle is 40 cents per kilometer. From here to Winnipeg is 761.1 kilometer. So based on 40 cents, you're supposed to get reimbursed $304.44 per way. So two-way to return should be $608.88. So the $447.21 doesn't match the math. So I'm wondering, are you claiming one way or are you claiming two-way? Can you please explain to me, please?
Just in regards to the first point, I'm not sure what you're inferring in regards to the Prime Minister and a trip to India, in regards to me meeting with ministers in Winnipeg. The ministers' meetings are occurring on Thursday and Tuesday, I believe, before and after the long weekend. I can certainly come home and drive back down at significant cost to the city of Thompson, but I think it's in the best interest of the taxpayers that I stay there because I do have accommodation of which I don't charge the city of Thompson for. So in the efficiency of saving costs in meeting with the ministers, they set the schedule of when they're available and we schedule around them. So again, I'm not sure what the inference is in the Prime Minister and India. In regards to nice inference though. The other one in regards to the rate, as per our per diem and rate structure, it's 65% of the equivalent flight cost that is charged. That's the policy that's been in place. That's what's been charged previously, and that's what's been passed by this council. So that's the number that's in the memo. It's 65% of the equivalent flight. Any other questions? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next, we have bylaws. First reading of bylaws 1966-2018, Water and Wastewater Utility Bylaw Amendment. We have supporting documents, bylaw 1966-218, Water and Wastewater Utility Bylaw Amendment, and a memo from the city manager. Resolution 2018-088, moved by Deputy Mayor Smook, seconded by Councillor Byer. Be it resolved, the bylaw 1966-2018 being an amendment to the bylaw number 1842-2010 of the City of Thompson in the province of Manitoba to regulate and provide for the distribution and use of water and collection of treatment of wastewater in the City of Thompson be introduced and read a first time. We'll go to administration for support. Mr. McGinnis? Thank you. We'll go to the mover, Deputy Mayor Smook. Anything to add?
No, this has all been part of the negotiations to date.
Council, questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next, we'll go to the first reading of bylaw 1967-2018, water and wastewater rates by bylaw amendment. And we have a supporting document, the bylaw 1967-2018, water and wastewater rates bylaw amendment. Resolution 2018-089, moved by Councillor Byer, seconded by Councillor Ellis. Be resolved, the bylaw 1967-2018 being an amendment to the bylaw number 1843-2010 of the City of Thompson in the province of Manitoba to establish water and wastewater rates within the said municipality be introduced and read a first time. Administration for support. Anything to add, Mr. McGinnis? The mover, Councillor Byer, anything to add?
I'll be supporting it. We can't progress on this without first reading.
Council, any questions? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We're now going to 8.3, second reading of bylaw 1963-2018, public reserve closing bylaw. We have the bylaw, it's 1963-2018, public reserve closing bylaw. We have Schedule A, we have the memo from Director of Development Services, and we have the additional letter from Municipal Relations. Resolution 2018-090, moved by Councillor Collada, seconded by Councillor Ellis. Be resolved, the bylaw 1963-2018, being a bylaw to close the public reserve, be given a second reading. We'll go to administration for support. Thank you. Council will go to the mover, Councillor Collada. Anything?
We need this resolution to proceed with the development, so.
Council, any questions? Seeing none, call for the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And lastly, we have third reading of bylaw 1963-2018. Resolution 2018-091, moved by Councillor Byer, seconded by Councillor Collada. Be resolved that bylaw 1963-2018 be given third and final reading and that it do now pass. This is required for a recorded vote. And also, just for the public's information, because we didn't have any objections in the public hearing, we are allowed to pass two readings, the second and third reading within this meeting. If there were objections, we could only go to second reading. So as there were no objections or support to the hearing, we can move forward with third and final reading, which will be in a recorded vote. So I will go to administration. Anything to add? Go to the mover, Councillor Byer. Anything to add?
Very excited to see this happening. I've said it before. The kind of faith that McDonald's is putting into the city of Thompson at this time in particular. I hope other people catch that spirit, because Thompson is certainly worth investing in, and this is just a small step to get us in that direction. So I'm very pleased to see this moving forward.
Thank you. Council, any questions, comments? Seeing none, in a recorded vote, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Voting in favor, Councillor Matichuk, Councillor Byer, Councillor Wong, Councillor Ellis, Councillor Collada, Councillor Foley, Deputy Mayor Smook, and Mayor Fensky. It's carried. Next, we're going to the mayor's report, and this is for the activities from March 13th to the 26th. I just want to go back previously because I haven't been here during that time frame, but I want to again, as many people have already congratulated, and I'm sure council has congratulated the organizers, Sandra Ross Hitch and Murray Kissick as the co-chairs of the Manitoba Games for an excellent games that was presented in our community. I want to specifically acknowledge those two co-chairs, their committees, all of the sponsors, the local community, commercial community that stepped up to assist, the local school district of Mystery Lake and the Col du Nord for providing their facilities, as well as the city of Thompson and their staff, all of the staff, not only Director of Protective Services, but Emergency Services, Public Works, everybody, Casper in Public Relations, everybody that was involved, council, and especially the residents of Thompson who got behind the games. We were given a 24-month task to complete in 14 months. We were given a challenge of identifying over 800 volunteers, and we were given a challenge of a budget of cash and in-kind, of which we exceeded in all cases. We exceeded the cash requirements, we exceeded the gift in kind, and we exceeded the number of volunteers required. And so from the bottom of my heart, I want to express my extreme gratitude to the community for what a great show that we provided to the rest of Manitoba. I do want to make one comment in regards to media, not the local. I want to thank the local media for everybody, they were there like 12, 16 hours a day, lots of coverage, great job. But I want to specifically talk about the Winnipeg media that didn't take the time to come north, who actually phoned it in, asked us to provide pictures and stories for the Manitoba Games, which is extremely disappointing. This is the second largest sporting event in Manitoba this year, behind the Canada Games, and not one media representative from Winnipeg was here in Thompson. So that's very, very disappointing. So with that, I want to again congratulate the community on a great job. Well done. We can do anything we set our minds to. Very proud of this community. Thank you very much. The biweekly Thompson 2020 conference calls continue. The water treatment plant meetings, I believe, continue. Various committee meetings were held: Development Review, Finance and Administration, Legislative and Intergovernmental Affairs, and Recreation and Community Services. There are no proclamations at this time. Just before I go to council for reports, there was one safety concern that I want to raise. It was raised this morning at the mayor's meeting, and I'm sure it was raised at Rec and Protective Services as well. This is the freeze-thaw cycle that we're in. We had a dusting of snow last night, so there may seem like there's ice or snow covered where it could be very weak ice. So anybody using ATVs or snowmobiles, or even attempting to get on open water, please refrain from doing so. Anybody that's doing any snowmobiling, this is the time to do it, but do it safely. Let people know when you're going, when you're coming back. Keep your safety gear along with you. If you're going over water, have flotation equipment, GPS if you have it, but make sure people know where you're going and when you're due back, because it's very unforgiving once you get outside the city limits. So I want to encourage everyone to practice good recreation in enjoying the ATVs and the snowmobiles, but be safe from that perspective. With that, I'll go to the remainder council to report on any activities they attended on behalf of the City of Thompson between March 13th to the 26th. Anybody? Councillor Ellis.
I attended, along with Councillor Byer, the Truth and Reconciliation and Road to Wellness Conference on the March 21st and 22nd. It dealt with residential school survivors, 60 Scoop, and right up to the effects of child and family services on today's families. There was two very good keynote speakers. Wilton Littlechild, who is a chief from Alberta. He spoke about the TRC call to action, and he's spoken on these issues nationally, internationally, at the United Nations, and that kind of thing. The second day, we had Senator Mary Jane McCallum, who is from Barons Land First Nation in Brochet. She had just been appointed as a senator in December, so she spoke about her experiences, racism and that kind of thing within the Senate chamber as well. So it's a very good event, and it was organized by University College of the North, and a job well done.
Mary Snook.
Yes, I am going to do the report in reverse, and I chaired the mayor's meetings while Mayor Fenskew is away. On March the 20th, I was in Flin Flon for Look North Symposium, and that dealt with education and enterprise. It was attended by about 45 people. On March 17th, I attended the Jack Bird Memorial Hockey Tournament, gave greetings. That is just awesome to see the number of young people that we've had in hockey tournaments this winter in our Thompson area. It is beyond doubt just great to see, and kudos to all our recreation staff for all of this. And this tournament was right on the heels of the Winter Games, so they gave it their all still. On March 15th, I attended the Valley Liaison Committee meetings. On March 14th, it was the Look North Symposium in Thompson. We dealt with three areas: mining and resources, infrastructure and indigenous engagement partnerships, and housing for the North. And that was great. And then first off, to start it, I attended the budget meetings in Winnipeg, and then I had a tour of the North Forge Fabrication Lab. I've shared this information with 2020 and Look North, which they already knew about. And I'm just going to allow that I did do a report. It had to be handwritten when my computer decided to puke, to give it a nice word. Anyway, when I went to the budget, I first met Tom Farrell, and he's with the Manitoba Association of Seniors and Senior Citizens. Him and Connie Newman, I sat with them for the budget and got information that I have since passed on, and they're very interested in getting to be part of the bucket list for Thompson with the retirement portion of it. We also talked about Lions Manor 55, which they would like to get on board with and be some support for you. And they're an age-friendly advocacy group. And then I just got some more information in the mail from them today that I will be passing on. Just to give you an idea of the MLAs and ministers I got to chat with was Cliff Cullen, Blaine Peterson, Jeff Wharton, Cameron Friesen, Kelly Bindle, Scott Fielding, Ron Schuler, Ian Wishart, Dennis Spook, Andrew Swan, Ralph Eichler, Kelvin Gertson, Kathy Cox, Tom Lindsay, John Gerard, and Judy Clausen. Subjects we discussed. Now, if you want me, I've got a million little pieces of paper at home. I can tell you exactly who I talked with about what, but some of the subjects we discussed in about a 3.5-hour period: the effects of no train to Churchill, education funding for Thompson, tourism, Look North, inclusion and diversity, the GIL effects, the red tape for small mining companies, 2020 bucket list, Aboriginal Accord and how it is a model for the rest of the province, the loss of jobs at Valet, new business starts in the upcoming construction season for Thompson, the Lions Manor, the tender processes, PR 280, CSO model and the need for funding, 2019 and beyond, bulk fuel dealers, Guardvine and the extra trucks on our roads, the impact of the $160K welfare annual payment, the waste water treatment plant taxes. Some of them didn't realize they had not made us pay it. CEDF funding moratorium, bank funding business and personal for the north, how it's affected with the announcements, urban reserves, the non-filling of provincial positions in the north and throughout the province, UCN taxes, the doctor shortage, NRHA shortages and staff to Flin Flon in the Paw, Northern Spirit Manor with the wait lists, Nelson House personal care home, and then I made a list after I got to the hotel, and we got little lists, but if anybody wants to talk, we can talk, have a coffee. I talked to Travel Manitoba, Colin Ferguson. He felt tourism was at par with what he expected with the 96.4 commitment from the last year, and this is ongoing. Look North, I talked to Chuck Davidson that day, and he feels the province is still committed to long-term, but needs to see progress, which is happening now, and we saw that at our symposiums. I talked with Chris Gertson, Joe Massey, and Ralph, that tall, distinguished guy with glasses and a mustache from AMM. They sort of wanted to digest everything before they made too many comments. And then after the budget, of course, can't imagine you saw this, I started up a conversation with a Mr. Elm, and he's from the electrical vehicle industry, and it led to a tour of the North Forge Fabrication Lab, which is just a cool place, and even he's interested in talking to 2020 over the electric car part of it and that, so I've passed on his information, and seeing as how I read that so fast, I've made everybody in council a thing of this, and if you have questions on it, mark them up and give them back to me, and that's all.
Councillor Beyer.
And I'll look forward to getting the direct contact information for Lions Manor 55. That would be appreciated. Under the places attended, as Councillor Ellis mentioned, the Truth and Reconciliation. I was at the Look North Roundtable in Thompson, specifically at the engagement table, and it was really interesting because I thought that the examples of engagement would come from the industries, but our neighbors in Nelson House have a fantastic protocol that they follow that I think would be an excellent template for others to follow, and that will grow. I'm sure that will come further. Other than that, I just AMM this week and just the committees that I'm assigned to. So
Reports from council? Seeing none, we'll need a motion to adjourn. Councillor Foley, Deputy Mayor Smook, all in favor? Carried. We stand adjourned. Thank you. Have a good evening.